Shuckolate. The shuck of the oysters and the olat of the chocolate. I'm Danny Olson, the brewmaster at Foolproof. So everything starts here. This is our mill. And we start here, we take the grain, we put it into the mill, and it will run up to the mash tun. The mash tun is where it is mixed with water, and it sits for an hour, and the enzymes in the grain start breaking down all the sugars. This is just rice hulls. Essentially what this is just doing is building a filter bed. And after an hour, we'll take that nice sweet wort, is what they call it, basically the sweet water, and run it into the kettle.
Gravity feeds down to the conveyor belt, goes to these first two tubes. The first two tubes actually put CO2 into the can, and the reason for that is trying to get rid of the air in the can.
See, this is the pale malt here. This is one of the, probably looks like one of the chocolates. And then there's some caramelized malt in here too.
These next two tubes will go down and fill from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And it goes along here, gets a cover, goes around the corner, and that process here, machine here, actually seams the lid right onto the can.
2 hours later, we were collecting it the entire time, running hot water over the mash to collect the sweet water, as much sugar as possible, and we'll bring it to a boil.
It goes into the dunk tank of water, and the main reason for the dunk tanks of water is obviously there's beer all over the can because it's filling, and also we can tell by how it's floating in the can whether it's the right weight.
We add hops. We had actually added chocolate earlier into the mash, so it's already had a chance to pick up some chocolate. We boil for 90 minutes. We cool it down through our heat exchanger. It will go into the fermenter where it will sit and ferment. Essentially, we add the yeast there. 1 week fermenting. At that point, we'll add the chocolate nibs to it to bring up some of the chocolate aroma and cool it down for another week. And then we'll package it.
The farm actually froze.
It froze?
Yeah, the water above right through all the ice.
Does that pose any special problems, or just inconvenient?
It doesn't really mess, just inconvenient. It doesn't mess up the oysters because they're all below the surface of the water, but it just makes everything harder, you know.
Not necessarily a traditional brewing ingredient, but it has been used from the 1800s on in English stouts. You'll see oyster stouts periodically.
I'll just put these in the cooler.
As the liquid goes through the mash, out into here, it's picking up all the sugars. Yeah. 300 oysters.
Ready?
We add the oysters in, for this case, with 15 minutes left in the boil.
Anchors away!
It adds a little creaminess of the mouthfeel. The proteins in the oyster go there. It adds a little bit of saltiness from the brine. And that in a stout, which already has some chocolate flavors, and we're adding extra chocolate to it. One of the hot flavors right now is, sea salt chocolate. So it has that effect. The shuck of the oysters and the olat of the chocolate. Shuckolate.